So what I want to talk about today is why certified organic coffee is kind of a scam, honestly. It's not so much that it's like meaning to scam you. It's just, it's not quite, it has a connotation to normal people that does not reflect what's actually going on. So when people shop organic, typically what they're trying to do is they're trying to avoid consuming fertilizers and pesticides, especially synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, because those get into your food supply, the water supply, and then they get into your body. It messes with your hormones. It causes potentially cancers. There's a lot of like negative stuff that happens from consuming chemicals. So that's what people are looking for. And like most things, USDA certified organic sort of is the gold standard for like, okay, we can trust that this product is certified to be organic, right? But when you kind of read the fine print and you look behind the curtain to see really what this process is, you realize that it's actually not so straightforward and there's a little bit of obfuscation happening. So, for example, certified organic coffee can still be grown using fertilizers and pesticides. It can still be grown using synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, just ones that are approved by the certification body. Now, if you want coffee grown the way that it has been grown for thousands of years, there are many coffee farms across the world, typically in low income areas. 90% of coffee grown in South America, for example, is grown beneath the poverty line. So these are like subsistence farmers that, are tilling their coffee plants the way that they have been for hundreds of years. They can't afford synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, yet alone the certification, which is just essentially a rubber stamp that says, you guys are good to go. So they take a pretty big gamble by certifying their crops. It could be the expense that means they're not profitable and that they have to stop growing coffee for that next year because they're not going to be able to feed themselves. So for a lot of coffee farmers, it's just not an option. There are places in rural Ethiopia, which is where some of the best coffee come from, Yemen, to picture these like very, very remote places. These are not commercial farms. These are very rustic, organic grow-ups, but they may not be certified organic. So that is what we call organic coffee. So there are a lot of coffees that are organically grown, but are not certified. Now, another myth about certified organic coffee is that certified organic must be synonymous with higher quality. And that's also not the case. Just because coffee is grown without the use of fertilizers and pesticides, assuming that that is even what this crop, how this crop was grown, there's more to it. It doesn't ensure that the quality of the bean is going to be good, that the soil quality, was it grown in the shade? It's much more important to know where the farm is, how it was grown, was it grown in the shade, and have some sort of like trail between the farmer and the crop. That's the best way to ensure that you're getting high quality, not just looking for a certification or a stamp. Another myth is that certified organic coffee is better for the planet. Well, that's also not necessarily true. And a perfect example of this is sun-grown coffee. Now, I just mentioned shade-grown coffee, which is coffee literally grown in the shade. But there's also coffee plants that are grown in the sun. getting more sunlight, which means more yield. You don't need to use as much fertilizer to do so, so therefore it must be good for the planet, right? Well, not if these big sun-grown coffee farms engage in deforestation to get large plots of land without any shade for them to grow in. So your certified organic coffee actually was grown in a deforested coffee farm. So not necessarily better for the planet. Sun-grown coffee also requires more water. So using additional water is just more resources. If these places are in rural areas, the way that they get the water to those farms could be through the use of, electrical pumps and stuff like that, which might be burning coal to power. So again, it's just more complicated. I'm not trying to sit here and poo-poo certified organic coffee. I just think that consumers can be a little uneducated, and they might see that stamp and go, oh, okay, well, it's certified organic. I can sleep well at night knowing that I did my part. And the reality is, there's a lot of marketing, and the truth is just a lot more complicated. So do your homework, trust your coffee vendor, look for coffee roasters that are passionate about what they do, that truly are artisans and care about where their beans come from. That is a much better way of ensuring that the product that you're buying is good for you and good for the planet than just looking for a stamp. So now this one's kind of interesting because a certified organic coffee may not even address consumers' main concern. Typically, when you think of a certified organic crop, you think of, oh, this must be, a relatively small batch. This must be a small artisanal producer that is doing things the right way. Well, in reality, it's actually large-scale producers, coffee producers, these big industrial grow-ops that benefit more from the certification process than the small artisanal farms. And this is why. Go. The big farms, once they certify organic, that means, they pay X amount for it, and they get to charge a premium on their entire crop. So if they have a massive crop, that means they get to charge a premium for their entire crop. If you're a small farmer, a micro lot farmer, there's minimal, if any, financial benefit that you will see from certifying organic. In fact, most artisanal micro lot farmers, especially if they exist beneath the poverty line, just the act of certifying can put them in financial ruin and make it to where they have to go work for the cartels. They have to grow coca, they have to grow poppies. All of a sudden coffee becomes not a very profitable crop for them, and so they can't feed their families. So you're actually, just by looking for a certified organic coffee, you're not necessarily supporting small farmers. Better certifications for that would be like Free Trade, Rainforest Alliance. There's also like women co-op kind of certifications for like women-run farms. So there are other certifications that may be better for some of those more ethical issues than just certified organic. But even those, man, it's like everything can be a marketing ploy, and you could have some of the best, most ethically grown, sourced, environmentally friendly coffee out there, and it has absolutely no certification. What's up, man? How you doing? And it has no certification. So, knowing that, you just realize that it's a little bit more complicated. So just to recap, when it comes to certified organic coffee, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just some of the highest quality coffee in the world is not certified organic. You're gonna have more options for quality beans and just great roasters and interesting roast if you expand your horizon to beyond just certified organic. Also look for roasters that have direct trade and free trade arrangements with their farmers. Just know, like all things in life, you got to know where your stuff comes from, and care about that. And if you don't want to do the homework and do the research, find a coffee company that does care about those things and that does their homework, because at the end of the day, it's really easy to get tricked by marketing and to just feel good at night because there's some seal of approval that says everything's above board. But in reality, the world's just a little bit more complicated.